You know, when we think about wine, what usually comes to mind?
France, Italy.
Yeah, maybe even California.
Right.
But what if I told you the very first vineyard
Hmm.
was planted in a place you might not expect?
Where?
Armenia. Today, we're diving deep into the unexpected world of Armenian wine.
A land nestled in the Caucasus Mountains.
With ancient history, vibrant culture,
And surprisingly,
the birthplace of viticulture.
it's fascinating because we're not just talking about any wine, right?
No.
We're talking about the very origins of winemaking.
Yeah.
Armenia has a claim to fame that's 6,000 years in the making.
6,000 years. I'm ready to unearth some surprising discoveries,
Absolutely.
explore those unique grape varieties,
Yes.
and really understand what makes Armenian wine so special.
So let's start with a discovery that truly shook the world of wine.
Okay.
In 2011, archaeologists unearthed the Armenia 1 cave complex in Armenia.
Uh-huh.
It dates back to 4100 BC. Staggering.
Wow.
And this wasn't just some ancient party spot.
Oh.
No, it was a fully functional winery, the oldest one we've ever found.
Okay, so I need some details. What did they actually find in this cave? Paint me a picture.
Imagine this. You walk into this cave
Okay.
and you find preserved grape presses,
Wow.
massive fermentation jars,
Really?
delicate drinking cups,
Crazy.
even grape seeds, all from over 6,000 years ago.
That's amazing.
It's like a time capsule
Yeah.
of the very beginnings of winemaking.
So this discovery basically rewrites everything we thought we knew about the origins of wine.
Exactly. Before Armenia 1, the earliest evidence pointed to other regions, right?
Yeah.
But this find in Armenia, it pushed the timeline back by a significant margin. It really solidified Armenia's claim as the true cradle of viticulture.
It's mind-blowing to think that this tradition has been going on for so long. But it's not just about archaeology, right? There's also the legend of Noah, Mount Ararat,
Yes.
and the first vineyard.
Yes, the story that's so deeply woven into Armenian national identity.
Yes.
After the Great Flood, according to tradition,
Okay.
Noah's Ark came to rest on Mount Ararat in Armenia. And when Noah stepped off that ark, what did he do?
What?
He planted a vine,
Oh, wow.
which became the very first vineyard.
I love that. So this rich history has really shaped the very essence of Armenian wine.
Yeah.
It's clearly more than just a drink.
Absolutely.
No.
Wine in Armenia isn't just about enjoyment. It's about cultural, spiritual significance.
Yes.
It's a symbol of rebirth, of resilience, and a connection to their ancient past. It's a thread that runs through their entire culture.
And speaking of history,
Yes.
Armenia's location
Oh, yes.
at the crossroads of civilizations
It's key.
must have had a huge impact on its winemaking traditions. All those empires rising and falling.
Right.
They must have left their mark on Armenian wine.
You can think of it like a tapestry
Yeah.
woven by empires. The Persians, the Greeks, the Romans,
Oh,
the Arabs, the Ottomans.
so many.
Each of them brought their own influences.
Blending with existing practices to create this unique mix that we see today.
Okay, so give me a specific example of how one of these empires
Sure.
influenced Armenian winemaking.
Well, take the Persians, for instance. They introduced something called karas,
Kara?
these large clay jars used for fermentation and aging.
Hmm.
Some Armenian wineries still use these karas today.
Wait, clay jars.
Yes.
Are there any downsides to using these ancient vessels?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So karas are porous. They allow for a small amount of oxygen exchange during fermentation and aging,
Okay.
which can add complexity and unique flavors to the wine.
Interesting.
But it can also be a bit unpredictable.
I see. Yeah.
Modern stainless steel tanks
Hmm.
offer more control over the process.
Okay.
But some winemakers believe that karas impart a certain earthiness and character that you just can't replicate with modern technology.
So it's a choice between tradition and precision.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's that interplay.
Between ancient and modern, that makes Armenian winemaking so fascinating.
What about the other empires? How did they influence Armenian wine?
Well, the Greeks, they brought new grape varieties and expanded cultivation techniques. Then came the Romans, known for their infrastructure and organization.
Yes.
They fostered large-scale production,
Wow.
building roads that helped transport Armenian wine throughout their vast empire.
It's amazing how Armenian winemaking has persevered through so much upheaval, and now it's experiencing a true renaissance.
Yes. But first, we have to talk about the 20th century.
Oh, yeah.
And the Soviet era. Sadly, like so many things under Soviet control,
Right.
Armenian wine production took a hit.
I've heard that the Soviets were all about quantity over quality.
Right.
Did that impact Armenian winemaking?
Absolutely. The focus shifted to mass production, which led to a decline in the quality and the distinctiveness of Armenian wine.
I see.
You know, the unique character of their indigenous grapes. Yeah.
Was largely ignored
Really?
in favor of producing large quantities of standardized wines.
So for a while there, Armenian wine kind of lost that special something, that connection to its terroir and heritage. But then came independence.
Yes.
And with it, a chance to revive those ancient traditions.
Exactly. With independence came a renaissance.
Love it.
A new wave of passionate winemakers emerged, determined to reclaim their heritage and craft high-quality wines that truly express that unique terroir of Armenia.
It's almost like they were rediscovering a hidden treasure. Yeah. They had these amazing indigenous grape varieties, a terroir unlike any other, and centuries of winemaking knowledge just waiting to be revived.
And revive it they did. Today, Armenian winemakers are producing wines that are winning international acclaim.
That's awesome.
They are blending ancient techniques with modern innovations, creating wines that are both authentic and incredibly sophisticated. Speaking of authentic, I'm curious about Armenian terroir.
Yeah.
What makes it so special, so unique?
Well, what's fascinating here is that Armenian terroir is this combination of factors that you just don't find in many other places.
Okay.
First, you have this extreme continental climate.
Oh, wow.
Scorching hot, dry summers and bitterly cold winters.
Wow.
And those temperature swings between day and night, they're significant, allowing for slow grape ripening and the development of complex aromas.
What are some specific, adaptations these grapes have developed?
Over centuries, these vines have developed deep root systems to access water in the dry soil.
Wow.
Thicker skins to protect themselves from that intense sunlight and temperature fluctuations.
Yeah.
It's a testament to nature's resilience.
That's incredible. Then we add in the altitude.
Yes.
Many of Armenia's vineyards are at seriously high elevations, some reaching 1,800 meters above sea level.
It's true.
Doesn't that impact the grapes as well?
Absolutely. Intense sunlight, strong UV exposure, development of those all-important phenolic compounds in the grapes. This gives the wines structure, ageability.
But there's one more crucial element.
Right.
The volcanic soils.
These soils, rich in minerals like basalt and obsidian, contribute to a unique mineral complexity and distinct character in the wines.
So how do these volcanic soils, how do they actually influence the flavor?
Well, it's like the earth itself.
Okay.
It's adding a layer of intrigue to the flavor profile.
Interesting.
You might notice a certain minerality, a flinty or smoky note.
Okay.
That adds another dimension to the wine's taste.
So imagine for a second you're a grapevine growing in Armenia. You're battling intense sun, frigid nights, clinging to this volcanic soil. It's no wonder these Armenian grape varieties are so resilient and produce such unique wines. So let's talk about some of those indigenous grapes, shall we?
Let's do it.
What are some of the, stars of the show?
On the red side, we have the star of the show, Armenia. This grape has been around for millennia. Oh, wow.
And produces full-bodied wines.
Okay.
Robust tannins, complex aromas.
Armenia, the grape that's been around since, well, practically forever.
Right.
What are some of the flavors I might find in an Armenia wine?
Think ripe berries, black cherry, and a hint of licorice.
I like it.
All interwoven with a distinctive earthy note and a touch of volcanic minerality.
Oh, nice.
Armenia wines have great aging potential, making them a collector's dream.
Okay, I'm taking notes. What about Kammerhut? I've heard it's pretty rare.
Kammerhut is a rare and intense grape, producing wines with an aroma of black fruits and spices. Age it in oak, and you might find chocolate and tobacco notes emerging. It's a wine that demands a hearty dish.
Now, for a lighter red,
we
have Sereni, right?
Yes. Sereni's often overlooked, but it's a real gem. Medium-bodied, fresh, and elegant.
Okay.
Aromas of red berries and flowers, perfect for everyday drinking.
Okay, that sounds lovely. Now let's move on to the white grapes. First up, we have Voskahat, the queen of Armenian whites.
Voskahat is truly special.
Yeah.
It's aromatic, complex.
Yeah.
Notes of citrus, stone fruit, and flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this distinctive minerality that really shines through. It's a wine that can hold its own against even the most flavorful dishes.
Sounds delicious. I've heard it pairs well with Armenian cuisine.
Oh, it's the perfect complement
Yes.
to the bold flavors of traditional Armenian dishes. Now, for something lighter and more refreshing,
Okay.
we have Katun Karji.
Katun Karji. That name just rolls off the tongue.
It does, doesn't it?
What's it like?
Katun Karji is all about lightness and refreshment. Think citrusy with floral hints.
Okay.
Ideal for a hot day or lighter meals.
A nice contrast to the more complex Voskahat.
Exactly.
Finally, we have Garmak.
Yes.
I have to admit I'm not familiar with this one at all.
Gramek is known for its mineral and herbal aromas, with hints of citrus and green apple. Good acidity and structure, making it quite versatile. This is amazing. So many unique grapes. And these are just a few of the indigenous grapes that Armenia has to offer. It's like a whole world of wine waiting to be explored.
And explored it should be. What we've covered today is really just the tip of the iceberg. There are many more indigenous varieties, each with its own unique story to tell.
This is incredible. We've learned so much about the history, the terroir, and these amazing indigenous grapes.
And we're just getting started. We still need to delve into the modern winemaking techniques, the challenges faced by Armenian winemakers today, and the potential of enotourism in this fascinating country.
Well, I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah.
Let's explore what's happening in the world of Armenian winemaking today.
One of the most striking things about Armenian winemaking is the way they've managed to blend those ancient traditions with modern techniques.
Yeah, give me an example of this, like this blend of old and new.
Well, one of the most striking examples is the use of karas alongside those modern temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks.
So we have those ancient clay jars, the karas, which have been used in Armenia for thousands of years,
Yes.
right alongside this state-of-the-art equipment.
Mm-hmm.
What's the thought process behind that?
Some winemakers believe that karas imparts a certain earthiness and character that can't be replicated with modern technology. Others prefer the precision and control of stainless steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating debate.
It's almost like they're honoring the past while embracing the future. It's like a dance between tradition and innovation.
And the results speak for themselves. And we see this fusion in the approach to fermentation as well.
Okay.
Some winemakers are experimenting with wild yeast fermentation.
Oh, you're
harnessing those natural yeasts found on the grapes and in the winery environment.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, that perfect balance. What about oak aging? I know that's a key element in many wine regions.
Many Armenian winemakers are incorporating oak aging into their winemaking process, but they're not just using French oak, which is common in many regions. They're also experimenting with Armenian oak, sourced from local forests.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's another way of expressing their unique terroir.
Absolutely.
What kind of flavors does Armenian oak impart to the wines?
It's known for adding delicate notes of spice, vanilla, and even a hint of coconut. It's a subtle but distinctive touch that sets Armenian wines apart.
So it sounds like Armenian winemakers are truly passionate about showcasing their heritage while also embracing innovation.
Yes.
This resurgence in winemaking is exciting, but I'm curious about how it's impacting other aspects of Armenian culture, like tourism.
Yes, enotourism.
Yeah.
Armenia is a country ripe with potential in this area.
Okay.
We're talking stunning landscapes, ancient monasteries, a vibrant capital city, and of course, these unique wineries that are producing world-class wines. It's a dream destination for anyone who loves wine, history, and adventure.
Okay, paint me a picture.
Yeah.
What kind of experience can wine enthusiasts expect when they visit Armenia?
Imagine yourself wandering through vineyards that have been cultivated for centuries, some even millennia. These aren't your typical sprawling estates.
Yeah.
Many Armenian vineyards are small,
Okay.
family-run operations tucked away in valleys or clinging to hillsides.
Wow.
You meet the winemakers, hear their stories, taste wines that you won't find anywhere else in the world.
Incredible. What about the wineries themselves?
Some are housed in modern facilities, equipped with the latest technology, But others operate in those ancient cellars,
Really?
where wine has been made for generations using those traditional carras.
That's cool.
It's a mix of old and new that's truly fascinating.
I can imagine those winemakers have some, like, incredible stories to share.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like each bottle of wine holds a piece of their family history.
Right.
What about the landscape, like beyond the vineyards?
Oh, it's beautiful. Imagine majestic mountains,
Okay.
rolling hills,
Look at.
deep gorges, and crystal clear lakes. And the best part is that many of these wineries
Yeah.
are located in or near these stunning natural settings.
So you could be sipping on a glass of Areni with a view of Mount Ararat.
Precisely. Or perhaps you'd prefer to enjoy a picnic lunch
Okay.
amidst the vineyards with a bottle of vodka and some delicious Armenian cheeses and breads.
I'm getting serious travel envy right now. So we've got the vineyards, the wineries, the landscape, the people,
Right.
and the food. What else can wine enthusiasts expect to experience in Armenia?
Armenia is a country
Hmm.
with a deep and rich history. It's considered one of the oldest Christian nations in the world.
Oh.
And that history is reflected in its many
Yeah.
ancient monasteries and churches.
Oh, yes, those monasteries. We
Mm.
talked about how some of them played a role in, like, preserving winemaking traditions,
Yeah.
but I imagine they're also incredible sites to visit in their own right.
They absolutely are. Many of these monasteries are architectural marvels,
Yeah.
intricately carved and decorated with frescoes. And they're often located in stunning natural settings perched on cliffs or
Sure.
nestled in valleys.
So you could combine a vineyard visit with a monastery exploration.
Absolutely. It's a perfect way to experience the spiritual and cultural side of Armenia.
Okay, I'm adding monastery hopping to my Armenian itinerary. What about archaeological sites? I know Armenia has a long and fascinating history.
You're right. Armenia is an archaeologist's dream.
Yeah.
Ancient ruins, fortresses,
Wow.
even prehistoric cave dwellings scattered throughout the country.
And many of these sites are located near wine regions.
Many of them, yes.
So you can, like, combine a history lesson with a wine tasting.
Exactly.
It's like every corner of Armenia has a story to tell. So we've got the vineyards, the wineries, the landscape, the people, the food, the monasteries,
Yes.
and the archaeological sites. Is there anything else we're missing?
Well, Armenia also has a vibrant arts and culture scene.
Oh, okay.
Yerevan, the capital city, is a hub of creativity with museums, theaters, galleries, and concert halls. Cool.
And throughout the country,
Yeah.
you'll find traditional crafts, music, and dance, all reflecting the rich heritage of the Armenian people.
So after a day of exploring vineyards and monasteries,
Right.
you could enjoy an evening of, like, cultural immersion in Yerevan.
Exactly. It's a perfect way to round out your Armenian adventure.
Okay. I'm officially convinced Armenia needs to be on every wine lover's travel bucket list. But let's talk about, like, the practicalities for a moment.
Okay.
What's the best time of year to visit Armenia
Sure.
for, like, a wine-focused trip?
The best time to visit Armenia for wine tourism is during the harvest season,
Okay.
which typically runs from late August to early October.
Okay.
This is when the vineyards are bustling with activity.
Yeah.
And you can experience the energy of winemaking firsthand.
You can, like, participate in some of the harvest activity?
You might even have the opportunity to
Ah.
participate in some of the harvest activities, like grape picking or foot treading. Awesome. What about the weather during harvest season? Is it a good time to be outdoors?
The weather in Armenia during harvest season is generally pleasant. With warm days and cool nights, it's a great time to be outdoors.
Okay.
Exploring vineyards,
Yeah.
enjoying that beautiful scenery.
What about getting around? What's the best way to, like, explore the different wine regions of Armenia?
Renting a car is a great option if you want to explore at your own pace
Okay.
and have the flexibility to visit
Right.
different wineries and regions.
Yeah.
However, it's important to note that road conditions can be challenging in some areas, especially in the mountainous regions.
So a bit of adventure is involved.
A little bit.
Is there, like, another option for people who aren't as comfortable driving in those conditions?
You can hire a driver or join a guided wine tour.
Yeah.
It's a great way to relax and enjoy the scenery
Yeah.
without having to worry about navigating unfamiliar roads.
And I bet those tour guides have a wealth of knowledge
Oh, they do.
about the region and its wines.
They really do. They can take you to hidden gems
Yeah.
that you might not discover on your own, and they can provide insights
Yeah.
into the history, culture, and winemaking traditions of Armenia.
Okay, so we've got options for transportation.
Yes.
What about accommodation? Are there wineries that offer lodging?
Yes. Some wineries in Armenia offer guest houses
Oh, nice.
or small hotels on their property. This is a great way to immerse yourself in that winemaking experience
Yeah.
and enjoy the tranquility of the vineyard setting.
Yeah.
You can wake up to the sound of birdsong and the smell of grapes ripening in the vineyard.
Lovely.
And there are also many hotels and guest houses in the towns and villages near the wine regions, offering a range of options to suit different budgets.
Perfect. So we've covered the best time to visit.
We have.
Transportation and accommodation. Is there anything else wine enthusiasts should know before planning a trip to Armenia?
It's a good idea to learn a few basic Armenian phrases, as English is not widely spoken outside of the major cities.
Oh, that's good advice.
It shows respect for the local culture and can really enhance your interactions with the people.
What about currency?
The currency in Armenia is the Armenian dram. Credit cards are accepted in most hotels and restaurants in the major cities, but it's a good idea to have some local currency on hand, especially if you're traveling to smaller towns or villages.
Got it. So we've got the practicalities covered. Now, I'm curious about the overall experience. What kind of, vibe can wine enthusiasts expect when they visit Armenia?
You know, Armenia is a country that's still relatively undiscovered by wine tourists. It's a destination that's off the beaten path, offering an authentic and unpretentious experience. You can really connect with the people, the land, and the wines without the crowds and commercialism of some of the more well-known wine regions.
That's very appealing. It sounds like a place where you can really experience, the heart and soul of winemaking.
And the Armenian people are incredibly welcoming and hospitable.
I love that.
They're proud of their heritage and eager to share it with visitors.
Awesome.
You can expect to be greeted with warmth, generosity, and of course, plenty of delicious food and wine.
Okay, so we've talked about the history of Armenian winemaking.
We have.
Explored the unique terroir and grape varieties. And delved into the cultural experiences that await wine enthusiasts in Armenia.
Yes.
But before we move on, I have one final question for you.
Sure.
What do you think the future holds for Armenian wine?
I think the future of Armenian wine is incredibly bright. The country has a long and rich winemaking history, a unique terroir that produces wines with a distinct sense of place, and a new generation of passionate winemakers who are committed to quality and innovation. I believe Armenian wine is poised to become a major player on the international wine scene.
So it's a story that's still being written.
Absolutely. It's a story of resilience, innovation, and a deep connection to the land and its history.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to raise a glass.
I agree.
To Armenia and the future of its wines.
Cheers to that.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
In this deep dive into Armenian wine.
Yes.
But there's one more aspect we need to explore.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges facing this ancient wine region in the modern world? So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Armenian wine.
We have.
From the ancient origins to the modern-day Renaissance, it's clear that Armenia is really reclaiming its place on the global wine stage.
Right.
But, what does that future actually look like? Will we see Armenian wines on every supermarket shelf? Are trendy Armenian wine bars about to pop up everywhere?
It's an exciting prospect.
Yeah.
And I think the future of Armenian wine is multifaceted. The demand is undoubtedly growing.
Yeah.
More and more importers, distributors, and just curious consumers taking notice of this ancient wine region.
So there's this, this desire for authenticity for wines with a story.
Yeah.
And Armenian wine fits that perfectly.
It does.
But can Armenia meet this growing demand?
That's a key question. Armenia is a relatively small wine-producing country.
Right.
And they don't have the production capacity of, say, larger wine regions.
Right.
So balancing growth with quality and tradition will be crucial.
It's a delicate balance.
Yes.
They need to, expand their reach without losing that unique character that makes their wine so special.
Exactly. And Armenian winemakers are keenly aware of this. They're proud of their heritage. They want to share it with the world.
Right.
But they also want to grow sustainably and authentically.
What steps can Armenian winemakers take to ensure they grow in a way that preserves those traditions?
I think it requires a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First and foremost, maintaining that focus on quality is key.
Okay.
They need to produce wines that are consistently excellent.
Right?
Wines that showcase that unique character of
Yeah.
their terroir
Yeah.
and indigenous grapes.
Oh, quality over quantity.
Absolutely. That's how you build a strong reputation and a loyal following.
Okay.
Second, they need to tell their story effectively.
Yeah.
Educate consumers about their ancient winemaking heritage,
Yeah.
those unique grape varieties,
Mm.
the cultural significance of wine in Armenia.
So they need to be storytellers
Yes.
as much as winemakers.
Precisely. And they're already doing a great job of this, participating in international wine fairs,
Oh, yeah.
hosting tastings and tours, engaging with media. They're introducing the world
Yeah.
to a hidden treasure.
And let's not forget the power of eno-tourism. It's a way to experience that story firsthand.
Absolutely. Armenia has so much to offer wine tourists.
Yeah.
Stunning landscapes,
Yeah.
ancient monasteries, the vibrant culture, and of course, incredible wines. As more people experience Armenia firsthand, that demand for their wines will only continue to rise.
Okay, so we have quality,
Yes.
storytelling, and eno-tourism. What else?
Collaboration.
Okay.
Armenian winemakers need to work together to promote Armenian wine as a whole, rather than just competing with each other.
Right.
It's about creating a sense of community,
Okay.
of shared purpose.
Hmm.
We're already seeing this.
Yeah.
Wine associations working to promote Armenian wines and support the winemaking community.
And I imagine the government has a role to play here as well.
Absolutely. The government can support the industry's growth.
Okay.
Investing in infrastructure, promoting eno-tourism, providing financial support for wineries and vineyards,
Okay.
streamlining regulations to make exporting easier. Essentially, they can help create an environment where this industry can truly flourish.
And we talked earlier about how Armenian wines are still relatively affordable
Yes.
compared to wines from other regions.
Yes.
Is that an advantage for them?
It's a huge advantage. It makes Armenian wines incredibly appealing to consumers who are looking for value, especially as the quality continues to improve. Now is the time to discover these wines before prices inevitably rise to reflect their quality and growing reputation.
It seems like there's also growing interest from foreign investors.
Yes.
What impact is that having on the Armenian wine industry?
It's bringing in much-needed capital
Right.
and expertise, which can help the industry to develop and grow. Investors recognize the potential of Armenian wines, and their investment is a sign of confidence in the future of the industry.
So we've talked about the demand, the challenges of scaling while maintaining quality and tradition,
Right.
and the incredible opportunities for Armenian winemakers.
Yes.
What's your overall outlook for the future?
I'm incredibly optimistic about the future of Armenian wine. This ancient tradition, now coupled with this modern vision, is really poised for remarkable growth.
Wow.
I believe we'll see Armenian wines become more readily available, more recognized, and more appreciated worldwide.
It's a story that's still being written,
It is.
and it sounds like it will have a very happy ending.
I believe it will. Armenian wine is a testament to resilience, innovation, and a profound connection to heritage. And those qualities are really resonating with people around the world.
It's been an incredible journey,
It has.
exploring the world of Armenian wine. We've learned so much about the history, the terroir, the grapes, the wines,
Yes.
the challenges, the opportunities, and the incredible cultural significance of wine in Armenia.
It's a story that deserves to be told, and it's been a pleasure sharing it with you.
To all our listeners out there, we encourage you to seek out Armenian wines. Experience this ancient tradition for yourselves. You might just discover your new favorite wine region.
And maybe you'll even be inspired to visit Armenia and experience the magic of this ancient winemaking tradition firsthand.
Cheers to Armenian wine
Cheers.
and to the exciting future that lies ahead.
Cheers.